Kierra Wheeler, Norfolk State women's basketball star, joins the show to talk about the culture around the back-to-back defending champions, how she's expanded her game as the Spartans begin the season tonight. Oh yeah, it's Locked On HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked On HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On HBCU podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics, Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I, of course, am Darian Gray, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum and former TSU Herald Sports editor and current contributing writer at USA Today's Saints Wire. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Make it Locked On HBCU your first listen of the day, every day. And remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey is over. Just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Starts with an S and ends with an S. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com and make every moment more. When you put down a $5 bet, if you're new to FanDuel, you get $150 back in bonus bets. That's easy. Today is all about Kierra Wheeler, the Norfolk State women's basketball star. We're going to talk about her style of play and how it's expanded over the offseason. We're going to talk about her life off the court, about how giving back to the community gives her a deeper purpose. And we kick it off about Norfolk State women's basketball culture. This is our first of two episodes today. We'll be back in the evening, so make sure you tune into that as well. But before any of that, let's get into Kierra Wheeler. All right, Kierra, I had Diamond on the show a little bit earlier, and she told me that I have to ask you this question. So I'm going to kick it off with this one. How do you say your university name?
Norfolk State University.
Say it again.
Norfolk State University.
I don't hear nothing different, but so we were talking about this. Is funny.
Okay.
So we were talking about this before, right? So I'm heavy on folk. Norfolk, right? And she is too. I heard folk from you, but some people be like, they say it quick or Norfolk. I think I heard she was like, yeah, MeMe from Minnesota. So you gotta ask her how she say it. We had this whole thing, bro. Lancaster. If you know anybody from Dallas, they'll say Lancaster versus Lancaster. It was like a big thing that's how we ended our show. So I thought I would ask you, and I wanted to know if you was a Norfolk, or Norfolk person. I think you're in between 2 and 3. I don't have the best ears. I'm gonna say you're in between 2 and 3.
Norfolk.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm gonna kick it off with your school. I'm gonna keep it at your school, right? Because you've been with the Spartans for 2 years, and in your 2 years, you got 2 championships, right? So what is the culture at Norfolk State that leads to so much repeated success? Because they was even in that position the year before you got there in the championship game.
I would say our competitiveness and everybody's will to want to win. It's not one person on my team that likes losing, honestly. And nobody likes losing, to be honest. But it gets underneath our skin. It could be a drill. It could be a simple game. We're just competitive. We always step on the floor to compete, and I think that's what brought us through this preseason. Even we competed, and then I finally told them our first scrimmage. I'm like, y'all, it's finally us versus them again. It's not us versus each other. Because it gets real competitive, but it makes us better.
Yeah, and last year, you guys were able to level up and become a 15 seed, right? Because in 2023, you were a 16 seed in the 2023 March Madness. 2024 March Madness, you're able to come up be a 15 seed. What is the message from Coach going into this season, right? Because you leveled up, but it's only so far you can go. You got a championship to a 15 seed. What's the message now? What's the goals now? What's going on in the locker room?
It's a lot different environment. So before we was just trying to see what we can do. Now we kind of actually know what exactly we can do and what's expected of us. A lot of people still look at us as that 16 seed from 2 years ago and just a okay mid-major team. But to us, we're one of the top mid-major teams in the country right now, and we're just working towards that, and we're continuing to grow and continuing to put in the work so that we won't just have to stop at 15 seed. That's not our goal at all. It's to be a 15 seed, and that's it. Like every year, it's got to get better and better. And this year, we're looking to compete with the Power Fives because we've shown that we can dominate the mid major as well.
How many Power Fives y'all got on y'all schedule this year in the regular season? I don't know off the top of my head if you do.
I'm trying to think. We got Missouri, we got Alabama, UNC, Auburn. I think that's four.
Yeah, so those are your 4?
Mhm.
So what's the mentality? Do you treat that game any differently? I know we try to say all games are the same, but I genuinely don't believe that. Like, I do not believe that every game is the same.
Mhm.
Certain games stand out, right? So when you're going against these Power 5 schools, is there a different mentality of, all right, I got to go prove something in these matchups?
For sure. It's one of our goals to be the Power Five school. So yeah, like you said, I don't believe in saying like every game is the same. It's not. Every game presents a new challenge and something different. So, with the Power Five schools, it's a different kind of challenge versus a mid-major school can be well executed on the offensive end and lack defense. But Power Five schools, like they prepare for every situation because that's something that they come from. So I think when it comes to us preparing for a Power Five school, our mindset is more of value in possessions. Like that's what our coach has been on us about is that when it comes to these close games and these big teams, we have to value each possession. And when he broke that down for us and just showed us like in previous years how we didn't value our possessions when it came to this, and that's why the game kind of slipped away from us. We've been taking it a lot more serious and trying to get back those possessions so we can steal a game.
And I'm glad you say every game isn't created the same, right? Because I think one game inside the mid-major versus mid-major level is you guys versus Howard's budding rivalry. I don't even know if I want to say budding. It's here, right? The last 2 seasons in the MEAC championship game, in the finals of the MEAC tournament, it was Norfolk State versus Howard. What
Mhm.
are those games like, knowing that, hey, we're 2 of the best teams? Heck, y'all are ranked 1 and 2 going into the season this year. What are
Mhm.
those matchups like every time, whether it's tournament or regular season?
I love playing against Howard. It's always a big rivalry, just a big environment. Just because, like you said, it was really the last 3 years. The years before I came, we had lost to Howard. So like, it's been us for a good minute, and just that atmosphere of like making it a healthy competition. You know what I mean? Like our conference rivals, we want to make sure we come in the building and we represent Norfolk State as much as we can and present to them like our competitiveness on the floor. And I think that they bring the same thing every time they step on the floor with us as well. Is they want to compete, they want to win.
What do you think it is about you 2 universities that has led to 3 years in a row of being at the top, being in the championship game? Sustained success is not easy, no matter where you are. But to have 2 schools in the same conference do this 3 years in a row and possibly 4 years in a row, what do you think is about you guys is that just leads to that?
Um, for Howard has always been Howard. Howard is Howard regardless of their basketball status. So I feel like they bring a lot of attention, especially with the Jordan brand, and everybody knows about them. So they've always had a good program. We've had to kind of build ourselves up at NSU, and so like when we kind of got at the door with them, it was kind of like, okay, and then she was coming, they knocking, and now it's like us coming back and forth. And I just think it's important. Like we always make it so it's we the last 2 standing, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't stand it, but I love it because it's like I know that it's gonna be a good sense of healthy competition in between this.
Yeah, and I love watching you guys in the regular season because it always does feel like we're gonna see this at some point. And that it's different. When you know you're gonna see a team again,
Mhm.
it's just a different feeling because you almost carry that intensity into the regular season. I'll change gears off of Howard real quick and go back to the NCAA tournament. In 2023, you guys faced South Carolina, and Dawn Staley had great words to say about you and your performance. Receiving those words from a legend of her status, what does that mean to you?
It was a huge motivational push for me, honestly. I've always been like under the radar. I still feel like I am kind of an under the radar player, but good enough to compete. So like her giving those words of encouragement built me up. I'm like, if Don Staley say that you got it, then you must got something. You know what I mean? So her kind of pulling me to the side and just saying that in front of my teammates and like letting us come in their locker room. Like it was really a once in a lifetime experience. Getting to talk to her, and it kind of motivated me as well to like prepare for the next year, because I knew like after having that big moment, like it wasn't going to be easy to kind of shake that off. People are going to be watching.
Yeah, no, definitely a microscope. Does it hit a little different when you have somebody in your face saying this? Because, you'll have these lists and you're definitely on them, right? We can talk about being under the radar and everything, but I do feel like you're starting to get your props and your credit, and people are putting you on, player of the list, player of the year watch list and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But is it different when somebody's literally in your face saying these things as opposed to a list that you're not seeing the people compile?
Oh, for sure. I was just talking about accolades. The accolades are very important to the game. Of course, you want to be recognized, and it feels good to see like these little awards. But like somebody coming up to you to your face and telling you like, "Oh, you're a talented player. Keep going." Or even after the game, some coaches pull me to the side, like telling me like how good I am, and they can't wait to see me grow. And that just means a lot more than just somebody putting my name on a list. It's kind of individual compliment, and it just keeps me motivated because the work will always show. My coach Fox loves to say that, my assistant coach here, and I think like the work will always show, whether it's on me making it on that list or somebody seeing my game in person. It just proves itself.
Yeah, no, definitely. And before we get all the way deep into your game, I want to talk about some things that you do off the court, because I think you have some really good hobbies and then also a really good cause that you're participating in. And let's break that down as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Now, our friends at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate sports fan is difficult. Whether you're talking about all-day tailgates, maybe you're talking about back-to-back men's and women's game on the college level. You didn't start your day when the game started. You were doing things well before that. We understand and we see you. That's why 5 Hour Energy has created a shot for fans like you, like me, the super fan who is the first to arrive and the last to leave, even after the players sometimes. You know what's giving me a bit of fan fuel this week? Understanding that Norfolk State women's basketball has kicked off or will kick off their season tonight. And that's why we have Kierra Wheeler on the show. That is what's giving me some fan fuel. Now, 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart and a whole lot of energy. So what is your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy, and the fan fuel shot is available on 5hourenergy.com, ship nationwide. As we continue rolling on today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day. And for your second listen, make sure you're checking out Locked On NFL, breaking down all the biggest news from the week of action. We're in week 9 going into week 10. So make sure you're checking out Locked On NFL and their rotating lineup of hosts. Right now, I have Kierra Wheeler with me, Norfolk State women's basketball player. Now, people who know you, they call you MeMe. Right. And where does this nickname come from? Is this I go by this all the time? Is this my closest friends, my family? What? Tell me about this, the MeMe nickname.
It's just I go by this all the time. Not few people know my real name, and even if you say my real name around, the people that are close to me, they're like, everybody gonna turn their head, like, you talking to her? But my sister gave it to me when I was young. I think I was just coming home from the hospital. She had to be like 3, and my mom was just trying to like introduce her to each other, just letting us get to know each other. And my sister was like, "No, mom, I know who that is. You don't have to introduce me. Like, I know who that is." And my mom was like, "Who is this baby? Like, who do you think this is?" She was like, "That's my sister, Mimi." And from there, I was Mimi,
That's
and it
insane.
stuck with me my whole life.
That's insane. Your 3-year-old sister
Mhm.
gives you this. Where did she get that from? Why did she think you were Mimi?
Okay, so it was another little chocolate baby in her daycare that she used to play with when she was younger, and she named the doll Mimi. So she thought I was the little baby doll sitting right next to her. So that's where I
That's insane.
from a
The
cat.
way we get nicknames is crazy, but that is one of the more insane stories. Your baby, or excuse me, your older sister, when she was a baby, thought
Mhm.
that you were the doll.
Mm.
It flows though. I
It
get
does.
you.
It
It
works.
flows.
It works for me. I study it.
Now, off of the court, you're a participant. You work at Fairview Park, helping out the youth, helping out the middle schoolers.
Mhm.
And why is the community going back and giving back to people who you don't know them, but you want to be involved in their life, help them with fundamental skills? Why is that important to you?
When I want to put my impression on people, like as much as I can, I believe like kindness goes a long way, and that you leave your mark on people. Like whatever you do, you leave a stain on people, whether it's good or bad. And I want to just give back to kids or younger youth that I got the same example when I was in the gym. So like when I used to come to Fairview Park, and I would meet like my coaches or another hooper, they were always kind to me, and or they always went out their way to like involve me, especially when it wasn't as many women in the gym. I would still be allowed part of the boys practice, a part of the women's workout, whatever I could. Like the coaches will always take me under their wing, and I just want to have like give that same grace to young kids that I got, like, because I believe that kindness gets passed on. So I just want to give back to the community that poured so much into me. And on the days where I came after school, and my mom wasn't off work yet, so I had to make new friends. I had to find a hobby, and they were very influential in my choice and being able to play basketball, just keeping me there and making me feel protected and safe.
You feel like that mixture of community, relating community to basketball, do you think that has created, or I wouldn't say has, but is the reason that you feel so closely tied to the game because you kind of think of them as one and the same?
Yeah, of course. I think the basketball community is a very strong community when you get around the right people, of course. But um, the sense of community that basketball brings and the sense of leadership that it has brought to me and my personality and my growth, I just want to be able to. It doesn't always have to take you to certain places, but it will take you somewhere. I believe that everybody stays connected. I still have friends from Fairview Park that no longer play basketball, but I'm connected there to them in some kind of way because of where we started. So the sense of community that the park has given me, I want to give to everybody else.
I think it's beautiful. And one of the things that we talked about before is one of your hobbies.
Mhm.
And that's the idea of Call of Duty and
Mhm.
how you are new to Call of Duty, but now you're nice. Talk to me about your start in the game and then also your journey in the last year and a half since you first started playing Call of Duty.
So in the beginning, I mean, like I said, I did not play video games at all when I was young. I played just dance. I might have been able to play Mario Kart, but my mom wasn't into the shooting and she wasn't letting me play all that. So as I got older, I didn't really get into it. And then I got me a PS5, and my teammate pulled me aside. It was probably last year. She's like, "You gotta play Call of Duty. You gotta play Call of Duty." And ever since then, it's just kind of been raps. My mechanics with the controller was bad, like really bad. I was getting carried most of the time. A lot of the time, getting carried. And then I got tired of them talking stuff in my headset. So I really locked in. Like I started
Yeah.
watching videos. I started watching streams. I started seeing what everybody else just do. I changed my mechanics on the controller that kind of like customized my game. And then from there, now I'm really locked in. I'm probably averaging like 8 to 15 kills a game. I think that's not bad at all. My most kills I've had is 22. So
Not good to me.
depending on the game, I'm locked in.
It's funny because we talked about this, how I'm such a oblivious to everything going on. I know nothing. I'm ignorant to it all. So you say 15, 22, sound good to me. I ain't gonna lie. Sound like you be putting in some good work. Does Call of Duty scratch a little bit of a competitive thing for you? Is it just fun, right? Because I would imagine that people talking in your headset, you getting able to be online and everything, there's a competitive
Mhm,
aspect to that as well, even though gaming is also fun.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. I want to win every time I play a lot of Warzone. So Warzone is basically a resurgence. So I play Warzone Resurgence and I play quads. And I usually play with my teammates or sometimes random stuff. I'm just decided to hop on, and basically like the competitive side of me and the fun side of me, it really gave me a balance because when it came to basketball, I actually had struggled with the competitive side and the fun side of basketball. Like my coach would tell me like you get so competitive, you forget the end goal. And I'm like, okay, like that was something that I had to work on, that I don't like to lose, or I do like to compete, but I also have to remember like to have fun with this, and this is something that I'm enjoying. So when it came to the game, it was kind of like a similar thing. It was something that I wanted to get good at, and it was fun getting good at it. So that's when I started competing and started having a lot more fun on the game and enjoying like just my free time and being able to engage with people and talk stuff on my microphone, get banned from chats, but it's definitely all worth it because like learning that little that work life balance is definitely important when it comes to basketball and the things I enjoy.
I want to take it back a little bit. Learning
Mhm.
how to have fun while being competitive in a game of basketball. How'd you do it? Right? Because I would imagine you started off having fun, then you
Mhm.
realized you were good, then you elevated in the level in which you were playing. So now you get extremely competitive. Then I guess you lost the fun aspect. So how'd you rediscover it?
So it wasn't more so about lost the fun aspect, is that I would kind of forget to have fun while I am competing.
Mhm.
And that came with like me just wanting to win very bad and not taking in, like not being grateful for what is being done and just letting the game come to me naturally. And once I kind of like got a good balance of that, of not putting so much stress on myself, that mistakes will happen, and that I got to trust in my work and what the work that I put in, the game has been a lot more fun. Of course, you're gonna compete, but at the end of the day, it's all smiles. I love cheering for my teammates. That really helps like me soothe my competitiveness. Is when they are all the way up here, I'm like, oh yeah, we on the same page. So I get excited by that, and just having a balance to remember like everybody's watching me. They want to be entertained, so let's give them something to watch.
There you have it. Now I want to get into your game, right? Because I asked Diamond a couple of questions. I want to ask you a few of the same ones and then expand
Mhm.
into your own individual game as we
Mhm.
continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and FanDuel is the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm not all right. I'm not. It's early in the morning, Monday morning. I'm still not over this Saints loss. So don't ask me about it. But if you want to go next week, Saints versus Falcons, they'll have the odds up very soon. You want to go ahead and be dumb like me? Go ahead and keep putting money on the Saints, unless you want to put money against the Saints. Nowadays, it feels like you'll win that bet. But that's neither here nor there. Let's focus on some of the positivity. We have Kierra Wheeler here, for doggone sake. That being said, go ahead and put some money down on the Baltimore Ravens. They're doing phenomenally. The Kansas City Chiefs versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers is here tonight. Or maybe you want to go NBA. Maybe you want to go on the basketball side of things and put some money on the Lakers, on the Bucks, on the maybe you want to go crazy and go with the Wizards. Regardless, go ahead and go to fanduel.com. If you put down a $5 bet, you get $150 back in bonus bets if you're new to FanDuel. All you have to do is go to fanduel.com to make every moment more. As we're wrapping up today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day, making it all the way to segment 3, and I thank you 2 times for that. I have Kierra Wheeler here with me, Norfolk State women's basketball star. Now, we had your teammate Diamond Johnson on the show, and I asked her these pair of questions, and I'm going to ask you at the start of the show. The duo of Wheeler and Johnson has been so successful. What's next for that tandem?
Honestly, this is our second year. I wouldn't even say it's our full second year together because the first half of the year she wasn't with us in the beginning of the season. So this is like but this is going on our second year together. And when I talk about like my competitive spirit, I trust in Diamond. The As much as I trust in myself, I trust in Diamond probably 2 times more because of her competitive nature, of how hard she works, of how she matches my energy when it comes to the will to win. So just playing with her has been amazing. It's like it's a 1-2 punch, we like to say, because I'm even when our flow is off, it's better than anybody else's flow. Honestly, she she works. We worked in the gym a lot this summer, just trying to build each other connections, reading each other, even playing against each other. Because a lot of times in practice, we don't get to be on the same
Okay.
team because one, I think we compete against each other so much that it makes practice really intense, and when it comes to that, I know her reads because I have played against her all summer, and I have watched her from the opposite side of the floor, not just on her team. So just being able to like be a good teammate to her and also a good friend for these last 2 years has been fun.
I like that. I like the idea of playing as an opponent, helping you learn how to play as a teammate. That's dope. Um, Secondly, I wanted to ask you, what is the relationship? What is the connection between a big and her guard? Because I feel like we are getting away from that tandem. I feel like we're starting to see more guards, guard tandems, in the NBA, like, but a big and a guard. What is the relationship between those two positions?
As a post player, you're supposed to take care of your guards, and as a guard, you're supposed to take care of your post players. She makes sure I get my looks inside. She dines me off. I make sure she don't get hit by screens. I set her a good screen where I box out, and I just think that kind of like connection that, like you said, hasn't been. It's been a lot of guard duos, or like it can be more of a wing and a guard, but it's still
Mhm.
not a big. We haven't seen. Not saying that we Shaq and Kobe, but you haven't seen nothing like that, like a partnership when it comes to like outside the paint and inside the paint.
That's interesting. So we talk about where you play, being in the post, right? It
Mhm.
don't feel like we see as many post players as well. I mean, like strictly post players, right? You have
Mhm.
guys like a Cat. We have guys like Joel Embiid, Anthony
Mhm.
Davis, who these are big players. They can play in the post, but you see them step out quite a bit, and it feels like a lot of bigs are adding a perimeter aspect to their game. How
Mhm.
do you feel about them gravitating to the perimeter more than the post, it feels like?
Honestly, in this last year, I've been working on my outside game a lot, so I would have
Mhm.
to say that I'm kind of siding with them. Just mean I think it's important to have a big original bigs. I think you need your post moves, you need your bag, but the game has expanded so much today, and just for me, it was really frustrating. I had frustrations last year from like people just being able to sit in the paint, like they sending 3, 4 people in the paint with me. So expanding your game is very important because if I could shoot the three or if I could shoot the mid range jumper, everybody can't sit in the paint and wait for me to contest my layup or to try to guard it. So I think it's important to really continue to expand your game as a big because you never know what challenge you might face.
So you took three pointers last year. From the
Mhm.
sound of things, it sounds like we can expect more.
Way more, way more than 3 3 pointers.
Okay, so how's that been going, right? Because
Mhm.
I don't know what the background is as far as where you started playing and everything, right? But I would assume that shooting threes is probably something a little bit more new for you based on how it's gone over the last 2 years of your career. How has implementing that part of your game, or implementing that into your game, I should say, worked
So
out for you?
it wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be because I've always been a big, but I was always a finesse forward. Like I like to be fancy. I like to work on my footwork. And when it came to pick up runs, like I would bring up the ball, I would shoot threes. But when it came to the game, I thought like I need to stick to what my role was. So
Mhm.
this summer, I worked with Coach Fox. I worked with Diamond, and we just kind of went to expanding my game for me being confident in what I'm doing, not just in like pickup or just freestyling, like using my moves and perfecting my craft. So when it came to that, especially the 3 point line, it was I don't like to take shots that are not a high percentage. I'm
Mhm.
very I want to take a good shot. I want to make the right read every time. So when it came to being a 3 pointer is a lot harder than a two. So I was very selective about what I was shooting. And my coach kind of got on me. She said that to trust in the work that I've been putting in. I mean, I would go in the gym and shoot 200 something 3 pointers and still get my mid ranges in. So if you're doing that consistently every day, why can't you trust on the floor that I'm gonna be able to step out? And from there, it was just kind of like a flow of things. Like I wasn't hesitating about the shot no more. I Whatever the read was, I was making it, and I think that helped my game flow a lot. Like I said, people are not able to sit in the paint anymore because I'm able to step out a little further.
I like it. And you know what? I'll leave you with this one, right? Because we know you probably still gonna be dominating the paint. What is your go-to move when you are in your comfort spot?
Diamond, I tell you, I'm gonna spin a spin dribble. Just to spin. I'm gonna set you up one way. I'm gonna go the other. It don't matter left, right. I can spin either way. As long as I can feel you on my back, I can spin off you.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna study it. I ain't got no jump shot. All right, Mimi, I ain't got it. Okay, you done developed your craft. I haven't, but I'm gonna try to develop that post move. I'm trying to feel them on my back in the hood. But anyway, I appreciate you sincerely for coming on. We able to fight through a couple of technical difficulties and whatnot, and we got it done. So I really do appreciate you for coming on the show. Um, Tell them where they can find you at if they want to try to follow you, and see how you're doing this year.
You can follow me on Instagram at mimi.wheeler22. You can follow me on X or Twitter. I hate X actually. Let's just stick to Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Mimi Wheeler, and you can follow me on TikTok too at Mimi Wheeler as well.
There you have it. I appreciate you coming on the show. Good luck for this season. I'll see everybody else on tomorrow's episode. Until the next time we hear each other, family. Take care. Stay blessed. Peace.